Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Rake and Profit, and I am with my main man, Jamison Philippi. You guys may have seen Jamison before on my YouTube channel. Jamison started his online business quite a few years ago, and since he started, he has over $4 million in lifetime sales on Amazon. It's great to have you here.
Likewise,
We both attended the Miami conference, and what we want to talk about is coming from a messed up past, adversity, and how to overcome that and be successful. You guys might know when I was 21, I got arrested, I went to jail, I was selling weed. I was doing a lot more messed up stuff behind the scenes, but I had no confidence. I didn't believe in myself. I would quit any and everything that I started. And since then, I've been able to learn a lot of things, meet people like Jamison, work with mentors, and I've been able to change my life. And now I'm making 6 figures a year traveling. And Jamison has even a better story than me because you used to be a drug addict, right? You were a drug addict. You had creditors chasing you down. I'm not trying to air out your dirty laundry,
you're
but
good.
You've talked about this at conferences and whatnot. I mean, he was in a bad place, addicted, in debt, creditors coming after him, and you even told me behind the scenes you couldn't even get a job at Walmart. So how did you go from that to being successful? Because I'm sure there's people watching now who are like, I watch all these YouTubers and these people having success, but you don't know my story. Like, I have a messed up past, I have issues, and I don't think I can be successful, but we really want to showcase and share like how we made that transformation. So maybe talk a little bit about where were you, how many years ago when you were a drug addict?
About 10 years ago.
So tell them, where were you mentally, physically, like what type of space were you in, and how did you change your life and do over $4 million in sales? And of course you still have your issues, I have my issues, we still have our challenges, but how have you been able to travel and have freedom and live in different states and do this, man?
Before I started Amazon, I was into drugs, in and out of rehab 4 times, finally got clean and sober, and when I tried to go out and get a job, you know, I literally had no luck. Over a couple year period, I put in over 100 applications, had probably over 50, 60 interviews, and nobody would hire me. I went all the way as low, as down to like applying for Walmart and Target to push carts, and I would get an interview and they wouldn't call me back. And one day I just come to the realization that like I'm not employable.
Did you have a felony on your record?
No,
Really?
no felony, nothing, and just wasn't working out. And at the time I was doing eBay part-time, flipping a couple games and toys and clothes here. And so I just doubled down on that while I was trying to find a job, until I could find a job to do the job full-time. But then over a couple months would go by, I started to see the potential where I'm making, $300-400 a month profit. I'm like, okay, like at that point, that was enough for me to live on. I was paying $200 a month to live on my friend's floor, and I was eating 99-cent spaghetti and tuna, so I could afford to live off $400 a month profit a month. And so I just kept going at it, eventually found Amazon, started with a couple $100 and kept flipping that money over. I made a ton of mistakes in the beginning because there wasn't a lot of content out. There weren't courses out to learn, so it was all trial and error. And I just kept flipping the money and kept learning and growing, and like it took many, many years. I had many setbacks when I started to grow, and like I was to the point where I was making $1,000 a month profit on Amazon, and I had issues with my mom. She was a compulsive gambler, and she would take my money out of my bank account because we shared a bank account.
Oh my gosh.
And she would go spend all my money, and say the money got stolen or someone took her credit card and racked up a bunch of money. So every time I kept building up, I kept getting knocked back down, and it just kept on happening. And finally, I had to cut that part out of my life so I could grow. And that was very tough to do that, to cut your parents out of your life like that and not speak to them again. And I just kept hustling, getting in touch with the right people, going to conferences, and fast forward a few years, like this year I'm on pace to do 1.5 million in sales this year, and I came from nothing. And all you got to do is just stick with it. You don't have to be smart. I am not smart, and some days I don't even know how I'm selling, how I got here, because I'm not smart when it comes to this. You just have to keep sticking at it. You're going to fail. You are going to fail a lot at this, but the people that stick through it can come through and actually overcome and actually become profitable at this.
So how did you get through all those challenges? I know we got a lot to unpack. You cut off parts of your family, and you started surrounding yourself with like-minded people at conferences, but what advice would you give to somebody who maybe they don't have the funds to travel and get a flight and go to a conference, because that could be $1,000, $2,000. Maybe they don't have any positive role models around them, and maybe they're in a situation with you where maybe they don't have any support. Like, what advice would you give them to be able to start experiencing some success and get through those initial challenges, because that's the toughest part. Once you get a little success and you start to get a taste, it's tough to go back. But what advice would you give?
I can only share. I'll share what like worked for me. I really honestly started like YouTubing like motivational, self-development, and self-help type videos. You know, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Eric Thomas videos. And like those videos in the beginning would motivate me. I would be working, packing video games, cleaning stuff, you know, friggin' ironing shirts and taking photos, and I would listen to those videos over and over and over, and that would like help give me the motivation to continue to keep going on. And as I started doing the motivational stuff, it ultimately led me down an amazing path into getting into self-development and taking care of myself and learning what the real problems in my life were, which they were all the issues all the problems I had were me. I was the common denominator in that, and it was me that was causing all this stuff. And so I really got in touch with myself, and this is something that I learned from Jim Rohn, is that he says like you need to work harder on yourself than you do on your business. And that's what I did, and I started to work harder on myself, and then my business naturally started to grow. Things became more natural, and it became more easier to actually grow the business.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's wishy-washy. You know, they think that what happens on or inside of the external world is just pure luck or coincidence. But I mean, all the actions you take are only based upon how you feel, your vision. If you don't have confidence, if you don't believe in yourself, that's why we're such huge fans of like affirmation, self-development. I don't know, I haven't told many people this, but you know, I pay $75 every single week to see a therapist for an hour because I have so many just limiting beliefs, issues, things that happened in my past when I was younger, and my parents did a great job. I think you went through a lot more traumatic stuff than I did for sure, but I think all of us, you know, have a lot of issues to go through. So let me ask you, let me switch the topic a little bit. For someone watching right now who would love to, I feel like the average person wants to have enough money to have their freedom, to be able to do what they want. Let's just say somebody's working a job now. Should they just quit and jump into it? Or, you know, at the conference, Amazon Lit was talking about do what you're doing, but then cut 10% out and start working on that and slowly build it up. Like, what advice would you give to someone who wants to be a full-time eBay, Amazon seller, but they're working a job, or maybe they don't have a job? Like, do you jump in full steam, or do you do it slow? Like, how did you go about that?
I mean, for myself, I didn't have a job, so to me, this was the only
Nobody
option.
would hire you.
So, I mean, I can't speak on as far as like when the right time to quit your job and do that is, because I never had a job. But I mean, if I were in that position, I would probably feel more comfortable knowing that I'm making close to what I make on eBay. I'm making it my regular job. And then also it's like, it comes down to like, you know, do you really believe in yourself? Because I know I have a ton of friends that make a ton on Amazon, but they still have a full-time job and they won't quit because they're scared to take that leap, or they're, you know, they like the security of a check, but they do great on Amazon. And so it's just, you have to figure out what's right for you. You know, being full-time isn't for everybody. It could be a good part-time thing.
Share a couple things you do on a day-to-day basis that some of the viewers can start to do in terms of maybe morning rituals or mindset exercises, things that can help you to improve your confidence and your belief in yourself.
This is probably one of the easiest things. I highly recommend a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It.
You had me read that, yeah.
You can get it on audiobook. I think literally the book is like an hour and 10 minutes long. And the book just really dives in and teaches you like the ground basic level of learning how to love yourself. And in this book, he literally continues to preach, like, you repeating hundreds of times a day, I love myself, I love myself. Like, for, you know, hundreds of times a day. And if you've never said that out loud, you say that, and within a day, you probably could break down.
Can you scream it for everybody right now?
You want me to?
Yeah.
I love myself!
Yeah, there we go. I love myself too!
And so, man.
Sorry, did the decibels go off the meter?
So,
you had me. I remember when you came to Connecticut once, we were sitting in a sauna over at LA Fitness, and you recommended that to me, and it did feel really weird at first, because I would say it in the car, and I would repeat it to myself, but what it actually did is it did something where it like made me start to feel good. It was almost like, you know, you have like a drink or two and like you start to feel good. It's that liquid courage.
Yeah.
When you repeat to yourself, like, I am powerful, I am strong, I am courageous, like, I love myself, I feel good, I am an entrepreneur, even though you may not believe it, when you say things, and Tony Robbins talks about this, your physiology is so linked to like your mentality and like how you feel and your emotions, and you start to feel good. And let me ask you a question. Do you take more action in your business when you're feeling good, when you're feeling healthy, or do you take less action?
More action, 100%.
And why is that?
Without a doubt. You feel good, so like working on your business becomes naturally easy at that point. Like, I'm a big believer in like working on every area of your life, like, you know, trying to move forward in that, you know, mentally, physically, and like, then everything else will fall into place, I believe. Like, if you work on a little bit of everything, then everything will slowly get better.
Yeah, you've done a really great job with this,
Thank
man.
you, brother.
If you guys aren't following Jamison, you can find him on Instagram, Facebook. What is it, just Jamison
Philippi, yep.
Any final words you'd like to give to people who are struggling, who really just, maybe they're having a little success, but it's just like up and down. It's like hurdle and challenge after challenge, and they just can't seem to just get that. Like, they hear about everyone having this success and this consistency, but they just keep falling down, and they're like, you know what, I'm just gonna quit. I'm not cut out for this. What's the one piece of advice you'd like to give them?
I don't know this quote like word by word, but it was something that Steve Jobs said. He said something about, like, the world that we live in was created by people no smarter than me or you.
Oh, wow. That's, dude, I have nothing else to say. Hey, much love, brother. I
Likewise,
appreciate
brother.
you guys. Again, give Jamison a follow. Hopefully this inspired you. If you're in a place where you want to make this a reality for yourself, you want freedom, you want to have your own business, maybe a side hustle, just keep going, believe in yourself. You know, we both came from adversity, and I think there's people that are a million times more successful than you and I, and if you go through their stories, a lot of them have gone bankrupt, a lot of them come from traumatic experiences, and I find that most of the most successful entrepreneurs, they don't come from a perfect little Candyland world, you know? So you're not alone. Much love. We'll see you guys in the next one.